Greetings to you. This is Brother Salih once again representing the Zeb Tepe Institute, and we're coming to you today. Right, we're going to deviate a little bit from our jewel droppers format and go a little bit more into a topic. And the topic today I want to try to bring is just what has been the impact of slavery upon the black populations that exist right now, you and I, our children, and how it affected us and how we've affected our children. For example, in the late 60s or the mid 60s, America experienced one of its first major drug epidemics. And quite naturally, it happened right in the middle of the ghetto, right in the middle of the black community. The drugs were allowed to be sold there. So there was a large part of the population in the 60s that was like pulled down and got deeply addicted to heroin and other drugs. And because of that, there was consequences. They weren't there for their children. They became people that were like outcasts. I think that was probably the beginning of a high degree of homelessness, probably amongst black people. Up until that point, in my community, Dunley, I came from a place called Dunley. You could leave your door open. I remember one time we went shopping and left the door wide open for like 4 or 5 hours, and came back. And when we came and pulled in the driveway, the neighbor came out and said, "Oh, you left your door open, but I had my eye open for you." You know what I'm saying? So we had a greater trust for one another when the heroin epidemic came and people started breaking in other people's houses and all types of other crimes started taking place. Then we began to not trust each other so much. So there's been a lot of different variation in the harm that's come down to us, right? And there's been ongoing injury. I'm saying, just like we know that the epidemic in the 60s was directed in our community, just like crack cocaine was directed in our community. We're aware of the Ray Wiki story. So when we look at the slavery, we're looking at the whole mind of oppressing black people and trying to categorize black people as somebody who is a subhuman or a lower class person, a person that didn't have any rights. I mean, they looked at us, they said we were, what, 3 parts or 4 parts or 3 parts of a human being. What I mean? That we didn't have rights, that we had the same rights as a chicken or a cow or a pig or, some other animal. So a people that have suffered that type of stigma, it's impossible for them to not be severely damaged in a whole lot of ways. Over the years, I had the opportunity to study a concept called the self-protecting properties of stigma. And essentially, when you're stigmatized about something, you find ways to find balance. So if you remember back when you was young, right, with some guys that could fight, but with some guys that could tell jokes and make people laugh at you real fast, with their words. So we find ways to protect ourselves. And so when we look at this, right, just think about what is subculture. What is the subculture? Subculture is a part of the community that had trouble fitting into the mainstream. They couldn't keep up economically. They may not have been able to keep up educationally. And as a result, they create their own thing. Everybody creates their own thing. For example, if you went into a crack house in this community anywhere, right, a place where people, that's all they do is smoke crack all day, there's going to be some people that come through that crack house that's going to have a greater value, or at least in their minds and in the minds of the people that are in the crack house. There's going to be somebody come through, they're going to always have crack. So because they always got crack, they somebody that everybody's trying to deal with, you know what I mean? And then there's the guy that comes through that's always trying to bum or find a crumb or do those kinds of things, and people are going to ridicule him there. There's always, like, I guess, a hierarchy and a status in every environment. So when you begin to look at subculture, you have to look at it from that point of view or from that angle. That sometimes the subculture comes into being and it becomes a place for people that don't feel comfortable in the mainstream. You're not going to find them in the church because they don't feel comfortable in the church. You're not going to find them in the civic association because they don't feel comfortable in the civic association. But you're going to find them in the places where people do whatever it is they're doing. Okay, so I said all that to talk about one thing, and it's called natural selection. And natural selection is so-called process of evolution, how people grow and develop. All human beings are on a developmental path. All of us are evolving, becoming more than what we were. If you notice, if you keep up with racing, everybody's going to get faster. I remember back in the day, they used to say Bob Hayes was the fastest man in the world. But they measured his race by yards. I mean, by feet. No, yards, and not meters. So it was a different thing. The people who were world champions in the 60s, I mean, if you looked at the time and looked at the distance they was running, the average person that is on a college team would be as fast as them. Look at how slamming. I remember when I was younger, Dr. J was one of the key basketball handler guys, right? And he jumped all the way from the top of the where the free throws is at. He would jump and take that long jump all the way down, and nobody was like him. Now everybody's a Dr. J. Now everybody's a Michael Jordan. I remember when Kareem Abdul-Jabbar was 7 foot or 7'1" or whatever he was, and he was like a feature in the basketball world. He was real tall, but now you look on the teams now, everybody got somebody that's over 7 feet tall. And you might have the majority of the players, or at least 2 or 3 over 7 feet tall people that are on the team. So everything is evolving. Corruption also evolves. Look at where things are now in the hearts of the people in our community. What are we growing towards? Are we becoming more cold-blooded? Think about how young people are just shooting and murdering each other over little small things, or how in the white community they'll come with an automatic weapon and mow down people in the shopping center. What is happening to the evolution of our minds and our brains? And are there more than one thing happening? Are there some people that's devolving and some people that's evolving? These are all things to think about, right? And as we move forward, we're going to touch on all of them because they all have something to do with what is going on with us, the black man and woman of America, and those that have been oppressed and had their other people's foot on their neck. We are about to experience some really good days, because this is the time of the coming of God in person. And we are a generation that teaching is starting to come forth from us. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad, and this is my position, he was the messenger, and he came and brought a message. But there are so many of us that are studying to evolve that message. And right now, there's people all over the place. You probably know somebody that are so far into these teachings, and they are actually producing and presenting information that is going to affect and change the world. That's where we really are at. This is Brother Salih speaking to you, representing the Zep Tepe Institute, and we just want to say to you that you are far greater than you know. Peace be with you.